should I get Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Le Parfum? So if you're new to fragrances or you didn't jump on the hype train last year, I'm gonna give you the inside scoop, which will hopefully help you make your decision. First off, the notes. You can find these online on any websites. Use ones such as Fragrantica and Parfumo, for example. But basically, pineapple, creamy coconut, ginger, iris, tonka beans, amber, ambergris, sandalwood. Sounds pretty sweet, right? Now, my verdict. Honestly, this thing is so overrated. It's what I originally thought, but I was so wrong. I thought this would be a getaway vacation during the winter months where it's a lot colder because it's very sweet and that would be too cloying in the summer.
I've made a huge mistake.
Okay, so let's tackle the first common criticism. You've probably heard that fragrances that are sweet typically fare better in colder weather as they can come off too cloying in the summer. Now, I won't speak to whether or not they fare better, but personally, I've worn a bunch of different summer fragrances, freshies like light blue to sweeter ones like Mega Mare, even Dior Fahrenheit, and traditionally winter fragrances like DR 540 and Stronger With You Absolutely. Thanks, Cal. And I have yet to find a sweet fragrance that comes off too cloying. But there are scientific reasonings as to why someone might think that certain notes only belong in certain seasons. And aside from, molecular weight, I'm here to tell you that it's solely or based mostly on societal influences, which will dictate whether a fragrance is popular right now, if it is a winter or summer fragrance, if it is unisex, male or female, even things such as do the notes follow the correct season. But to navigate that fragrance political landscape is way too much for a TikTok video because there's so much extra stuff from things such as NPC fragrances to maceration to just get the parfum. But let's talk about what we know is objectively true. Freshies don't typically last. And that's because during summer, fragrances tend to lose out on their longevity. So it's not going to last on your skin. Heat causes the fragrance to evaporate faster. Your skin's gonna end up being drier. And if you sweat, yeah, that'll do it. Heat also increases projection. Without having this turn into a long science lesson, I can give you the quick basics. So evaporation serves as a way to diffuse the fragrance, and the heat causes the fragrance molecules to move faster. And when it evaporates, they'll move farther as well as releasing more at the same time, which means in the same 3 seconds between cold and hot weather, it's going to release more of the fragrance molecule, i.e. projection. This also changes which notes you will notice, as the middle notes will now be opened up because the top notes have diffused faster. If you want a very simple way to test this out, spray on your forearm, and on your other arm, spray in between your elbow. That is a pulse point, and it's hotter, and you'll notice that in between your elbow, it's gonna open up and have a much sweeter and almost more burned in scent in there. Now, how does this relate to JPG's Le Beau Le Parfum? Well, projection helps increase the sweetness of the pineapple, which, thanks to our long-standing association in our brains regarding ripe fruits, connects the idea of fresh. Now, some fruity notes do have a more volatile molecular weight, and that also increases the fresh and invigorating idea. Le Beau Le Parfum was meant to be loud and overly sweet. The pineapple just adds an extra appeal to the fragrance, making it very sweet. When it's not that loud, it's muted and watered down, and it just doesn't feel like it's working or lasting as well. This projection also increases powdery notes, such as the iris, and because you're opening up the fragrance, you'll notice the top notes kind of burn away much quicker. You'll notice more of the rest of the notes in the fragrance, such as the iris, which I didn't notice when I first wore it in the fall or winter. You'll also notice some of the powdery notes become a lot more spicy and more creamy. Now, the other criticism for JPG is that it's very immature, the scent profile, at least anyways. And if you don't like sweet or alluring, just say so. This isn't for you. JPG has a distinctive, artificial, sweet, sensual smell that can only be described as unicorn farts. From blue ones like Lovers to honey tobacco like Le Mal Elixir, it's present in all of them. Now, it does a great job of being unique and, to be honest, a little sensual, which might cross the boundaries for some people. Not every guy likes to flaunt. and that's perfectly fine. As always, my recommendation is go to store and try this out first, especially right now when it's best during hot summer days, because that's when it's going to give you that maximum projection and increase that freshness from the pineapple. And if you already got this and you didn't like it, try it out again in hot weather before you make that final decision. Anyways, too long didn't read. Hot, good. Pineapple, stronger. Go away quicker. Iris here, creamier. Now, if you stayed this long, you might still be on the fence. Are there other alternatives? Well, one that I particularly have is Khadlaj Island, which you can pick up at your local Winners, or you should get on discount just because it's cheaper. Is it a one-for-one? No. We already talked about the scent profile earlier, that distinct DNA, that JPG DNA that can only be classified as unicorn farts. If you want that, get JPG. If you're on a budget and don't much care for the DNA, get Khadlaj. If you actually dislike that DNA because maybe it's too loud, or maybe it's too sweet or too flamboyant for you, then get Khadlaj. If you want something to show off in your personal display, get JPG. This bottle is iconic. Now, the performance on both were comparable. On testing strips, both lasted more than 24 hours. And honestly, after that point, I stopped caring because I washed my clothing. Now, to properly compare these though, I will do a quick test for you guys. Now, I've already worn this, so I can tell you right from the get-go that the main difference is just that hint of sweetness. But I would be hard-pressed to find anyone who could tell the difference if it wasn't side by side, especially with the final dry down, where it's been past the 8-hour mark. It smells so incredibly similar with just a hint of that almost bourbon vanilla-like sweetness here, and this one's lacking it. All right, so let's go with JPG first. Right away, you can smell that pineapple. It's very sweet, almost candy-like, coconut, hints of tonka. That atomizer. And this one, right away, if you were comparing them side by side, I would say it's actually more realistic, the pineapple. Similar to the pineapple you would get at Costco. Just pineapple fruit juice. There's water content to it. So it's watered down, but more realistic, where this one is artificial, very candy-like. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't really pick up the iris in either or, but it could just be very well blended with the tonka. And if I'm gonna nitpick, this one smells lighter. So the Khadlaj smells lighter. And I would say the cypress comes off in Khadlaj more minty fresh. One common complaint from Khadlaj based on the reviews I read online and just from wearing it myself is it doesn't last as long. And I can confirm after wearing these on consecutive days, this one only lasted like 3 hours, where this one gave me monstrous performance. And I was a little confused as to why, because both conditions were very hot days. I was moving around a lot. And even on when I did my testing strips initially, they both lasted past the 24-hour mark. So why is that? I can only think of two reasons. Maybe JPG is sweeter, but Khadlaj isn't exactly salt water, so it's sweet too. So 3 hours?
Inconceivable!
Did I simply just go nose blind? Well, I asked others to smell me and no, they couldn't pick this up at all. So then why? And even according to the notes, you do have a higher chance of going nose blind for both of these because they do contain ambergris, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, remember the atomizer. You see the distance on that? This thing hits way farther than JPG Le Beau's. But even smelling the mist from it, it's not as potent. And there's a reason for that. But first, let's just do a quick comparison here. If I were to spray 1, 2, 3 shots into here. 2, 3 shots into here. JPG has that nice green tinge to their fragrance. So side by side, you're looking at something almost exactly the same. So it's the same amount of fragrance or liquid being dispersed. The difference is the atomizer itself. So with that fine atomizer, you can see that it projects much farther and it provides a much more even spread. But if it's the same liquid, something has to give. And quite simply, the easiest way to put it is it's smaller droplets. When it's this fine of a mist, smaller droplets, which amount to the same amount of liquid as you've seen there, it just means that it's more evenly spread out, which also means that it evaporates faster. Took a bet that just spray more. It's cheap, just overspray J all the way over. Like I shot it 6 times just to show you that mist there. Anyways, the more you know, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. I would appreciate it if you pumped and liked that follow and save it in case you need this as reference in the future. Whatever works for you, man. But yeah, I'll see you at the next one.